really excited to be here today. I haven't been able to get out and meet people because although I've lived here a long time, I've spent a lot of time over in the Rumford area and worked here and haven't gotten an opportunity to meet as many people as I would like. So we're going to start with my presentation. And you're probably wondering, why is the GED lady here to speak to us today? And that is because one of my jobs is workforce training. And it's an integral part. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but do you want to put it on slideshow only because it would be bigger? To the right, down.
Got it. Thank you. Does that help? Okay, great. Thank you for the help. I'm not, as much as we've been doing Zoom, I haven't had to do this part of it. So workforce training is an integral part of our mission. We do it all the time. It's been a little bit slower these past few years because of COVID, but we still have offered our CNA. So most of the CNAs that you will see at your facilities in the area have come through adult ed or foster tech. But if they did it as an adult, they came through Franklin County. We also do a program called CNA Med, which is an upgrade from that. Many of your EMTs have come through our program. And BHP, which is behavioral specialists, have also done a program through us, and CRMA. So we do it on a regular basis. We also do, besides the healthcare, we have done computer skills in Google and Word, and we can even do soft skills training. And we can customize training for you. If you've got employers that need something to upgrade, we can do that. I have helped mills get their staff upgraded into Excel. We can work on different other trainings. It doesn't have to be soft skills, or it doesn't have to be computer or IT. It can be something that we could use foster tech for. If you've got employees that need that, we're willing to work with you, and we'd love to work with you. And we can do it at your place or ours. And you're thinking, oh, I love this idea. I have employees that I would love to get trained, but I don't have money for that. And that's really why I'm here to talk to you today about that. One of the things that has occurred is, and that's not showing too well, is the workforce training from the Maine College and the Maine Community College System and the Alphonse Fund has come together to provide workforce training grants for compact members. So that is for businesses that join their compact, which is a group of businesses that agree that they want to educate their staffs. And this year, the refund for per person is $1,200. They say it's for frontline workers and people that have been affected by COVID. So this is not going to get your CEO some additional training, but it's going to get it could be one of the things we're going to use it for is our CNAs to get that CNA med training. One of the things we're hoping to use it for is ed techs to get them training towards teaching certification. And that's those sort of training that we can do. I am working on a project with UMF, with the school districts, to get people upgraded to teaching. And so we're working with them to get that all those pieces together so that you can get the training, we can get some of the training cost. So that is the website, that it looks like this. The Alphon Fund is working with the Maine community colleges. It is not just the community colleges that are in this program. Region 9, Franklin County Adult Ed is in it. Southern Maine Community College is in it. We're hoping to have UMF in it. So that there are different providers all through the state that you could contact and say, I really think that I want to do a training with you. How can we get this to work? So there's a bit of an application, and this is how it works. And it takes a couple of minutes. Well, it takes a little more than a couple of minutes to do it, but then you will have access to funding to help train your employees, which I really felt was important. I would love for you all to come to Franklin County and use this funding in any way you could. However, I also understand that we can't do everything for everybody. And so if you need to work with the community college, go work with the community college. If you need to work with UMF, go work with UMF. But I think this money and funding should be used in our county because it's available. And we have individuals that we need to train up so that we can get them ready and keep them in their jobs and maybe work them up so we can improve our workforce. So that's my goal. If you want to spend money with me, that's great, but there's other opportunities. Let's get back to the slideshow. Okay. So as an example, we are an approved trainer, Central Maine Community Colleges, Kennebec, they have a whole list of training facilities that can be used. One of the ones that when I asked for specifics from the Alphon Fund, what could be used, one of them was you could train everyone on diversity training and get reimbursed for that. They were doing it as for a school district. You could train your custodians to be bus drivers, things like that, so that, use your imagination, figure out what you need in the future for your business and who you've got there, and we can run with it. Okay, this isn't liking me. Okay, so that's the main reason I'm here to talk to you today, but I also wanted to talk to you about some other programs that we have. We have a college and career transitions program. This is funded mostly through the state of Maine and your tax dollars. It is helping people who either have gone to college, it didn't work out the first or the second time, and they want to make some changes and go back, or they've discovered that that high school diploma was great for a while, but now I need to do some additional training. And how do I get there? And what do I want to be when I grow up? So I was fortunate that I, as a 30-something-year-old decided, okay, I'm going to go back to college. And I had those resources to go back to college and get my teaching certification at UMF, but not everybody does. And not everybody's prepped and ready to go. Those math skills get rusty. Those writing skills get rusty. So we can help individuals do that. And sometimes it's just helping them figure out what's available. And that advising part is a real key. What's available for out there. It's really interesting to watch somebody who's done, automotive for years and then say, maybe your skills go to HVAC and you could make some more money and learn with a little bit of training. So those things are always helpful. So if you've got some individuals that you might know that might be interested, you can give us a call for that too. Let's see what else happens here. It is not liking me to move my thing. So the other thing that we do is we have fun classes, and it's okay to have fun. This is our woodworking class. This is Del Harris, who's the BOTEC instructor in building construction, and it is also Mrs. Fowler. I can't remember her first name right now. She made that in one of our construction classes, woodworking. That has been an extremely popular class this year, and people are getting out. And that was a couple of boxes that she had, and she made it into this beautiful piece of woodwork. I will not show you the chair that I sort of made, but that's okay. Everybody's having fun. We also have dog training. It seems like everybody got a dog over the pandemic, and now they're having to figure out how to raise them. So we have dog training, which has also become an amazingly popular class. And so we have a lot of new puppies and dogs that are well trained, and it's a great opportunity. And then we have watercolor. It is, I found, much more relaxing than doing woodworking. But this is one of the students' work from last week, and that was the first class they had taken. And so that's what they accomplished last week. So we thank you for your support. Franklin County Adult Ed serves all of MSAD 9, 58, and Rangeley Lakes. So we are 99% of the county. There is an adult ed program down at Spruce Mountain that serves Jay and Livermore Falls also, but we serve most of the county. I have been excited to drive all over and get to meet people in my job and to help individuals. We also have had 15 graduates last year, and considering in the pandemic how difficult that was, I think that that's amazing. And it's great to see them, out and working and gaining new jobs. Some have gone to college, some have gotten different jobs. It's been great to follow them. This year we have had 12 CNAs or people who are working on CNAs and are working with several more. We are running a program with Sandy River in which they employ CNAs. They employ the individuals and then they get their training. And then we've also done a separate program where individuals are just going through the training and working in different ways. And we've got some already hired at Franklin Memorial. So we are out there and working. And if you ask me why I do this job, that smile on that face last June is what it's all about. It's a fantastic job. I get to meet different people every day and I get to change lives. So that's what I have for my slide presentation. And I am going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, I'm love to take them.
Nancy, would you explain when you say 15 graduates, what that means?
Sure. We have two ways to getting finishing their high school equivalency. One is through diploma. We require 20 credits. They have to do at least one with us. That is, each credit is at least 45 hours of sit time and work, and they have to do the job and they have to meet a certain standard for that. The other part, which is what most people do, is the high set. You would refer to it as the GED, but in the state of Maine, we now offer the high set, which is a high school equivalency test. It's a series of 5 tests: math, writing, social studies, science, and reading. It is on the computer. They have to come in and do that in our location. They're timed tests. The math goes up to algebra 2, although you don't have to be an expert in algebra 2. You have to be pretty good in math. You definitely have to be pretty strong in algebra. The writing portion, you're writing an essay, taking 2 opposing opinions, writing a persuasive essay, and typing it in a little text box. The reading and the social studies and the science are all, pretty good amounts of reading, lots of charts and graphs and things like that. But to get there before a student can get that piece of paper, they have had to take a reading and a math assessments to originally walk in the door with us. They have had to take a pre-test in every one of those subjects, and then they take the actual test. So it isn't call up, say, I want to do my GED today, and I can have it tomorrow. It takes students quite a bit of time. Several years ago, they made the requirements tougher, and it is definitely having an effect on how long students stay with us to get that. So even if their scores are showing that they can pass, lots of times we need to do additional work with them. We make sure they have some computer training. Last week, we had 3 people fail the science test for some reason. So now we will figure out how to help them get their science that they need. And individuals can come to classes for math and reading and writing and for tech. And all sorts of advising is available, because our goal is not to just get them that piece of paper, but give them a pathway so that they know what to do after they get out. And some of them take our advice and go on for further training. It doesn't have to be college. It could be, a lot of other things. And then they can also come back at any time and we can offer them help and services for that.
Are there any programs that were businesses in the area that you partner with to help with placement, or any relationships that you guys have to help them move forward in the workplace or with further training?
So we work a lot with Karen at the Career Center. So a lot of the students that are in our CNA program right now are receiving funding and help with the coursework. And we have also worked with Sandy River, and there are other businesses. Grant, I've only been here a year and a half, but I know there were other relationships that have been built with previous directors, and we're trying to work on those. So our advisor works with other agencies. So if they need vocational rehabilitation trainings or help, they can do that. If you need to connect with some other organization, we work with that also. So sometimes it's just, housing or food or, training. And sometimes it's other programs that they may need. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely does. Thanks so much.
Super. Hey, Lisa.
Nancy.
Oh, sure, Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
No, I just was wondering, most of these classes for the high set, the GED equivalent and so forth, I run during the day, at night, a variety, to accommodate folks' schedules if they're out in the workplace or whatever.
So most of our classes are during the day for the academics. We have invested in an online program that we can set students up with to work distance. We have also have a whole day of remote training. So we have individuals up in like Rangeley and wherever, or maybe they even live right in Farmington, but they can't get to us. So staff has dedicated a whole day of training. So they get on and they meet with them. They may run a separate class. They may do an individual class. There is some money in an ESSER grant to help us get some nighttime instructors in. I know in the past that here they have not had too successful an interest with that, but that may change. I mean, the pandemic has changed a lot of different things. We saw a lot of kids drop out of school last year that went to work. Those kids were going to work and, helping support their families. And they just, they get home at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So we're hoping that we'll be able to provide some nighttime academics for people very shortly. So,
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome, Dennis. Lisa.
Hi, Nancy. Excuse me, I have two questions. The first is, what are some of the biggest challenges for adult ed here in Franklin County, and how might we be able to help reduce those challenges for you?
One is just letting people know that we're there and here and that we're available. That's a huge challenge. People don't always know, as much as we send that brochure to you twice a year. And there's going to be a statewide marketing campaign by the statewide association, just talking to people and letting them know. The other is the huge barriers of transportation. We believe we'll be getting with one of the grants, we'll be getting some kind of vehicle to go pick up people, especially younger people. They don't have a car, and we are located at the backside of the campus. And when they're in high school, they get a bus, but we don't have that. And that's very difficult for people to get there. They don't always have that car. And remote learning doesn't work for everybody. So yeah, I could put them on the computer and say, here, go and have a great time, but that's not effective. And another one is, and I have to say, I don't have as many parents, but I've had a couple parents this year, childcare. Childcare is a real issue. Childcare affects the students who've had children at a young age. It also affects somebody being able to take training at night. CNA, if I have, if my class is from 5 to 8 at night, who do I have to take care of my children while I'm trying to take this class and improve our situation? It's very difficult to find. And many of them are eligible for vouchers that could pay for it, but it's trying to find someone that's reliable and a safe place for kids.
Thank you. The second question is around the structure. So Spruce Mountain has its own adult ed, and then we have Mount Blue and RSU9 helping with Rangeley and MSAD 58. How did that come about, that structure? Why don't they have their own individualized adult education?
So this is before my time, but I was in the community and I was working with people. In the state of Maine, most school districts are how the adult ed is worked. In other states, it's done by community colleges or even outside agencies. But in the state of Maine, it's by school districts. It was, I gather, very difficult for MSAD 58 to offer all the services. And Sue Pratt, you can jump in on this if you want, or Mike, because you were there. The requirements that are needed to run an adult ed and a full adult ed changed. And those requirements became more strenuous or difficult for a small school district to cover all of those. So it made more sense to join a larger one, pay some money towards it, and then get more of the advantages. So that's, I believe, how it happened. And Mike and Sue, does that sound about correct?
Yeah, that is exactly how it happened. It helped everybody because your programs then are fuller so that you can fill your slots, and we couldn't offer the variety that was needed, and we could do so what you would call community ed more, Nancy, at the smaller school systems, but it was hard to do the adult ed piece to get them to GED or some kind of completion.
And it was financially advantageous for 9 to pick up SAT 58 and Rangeley as well. It brought more revenue into the program, and we were already offering all the classes anyway, so the infrastructure was there.
Thank you.
And just as an addition, that doesn't mean that everybody from Rangeley and MSAD 58 comes here. We have satellite work that's done there. So there is some connection, so that they don't just have to all come to Farmington.
Juanita has a question.
Yes. How big is your staff, and are they full-time, part-time, a mix?
Oh, that's a good question. I have 3 full-time instructors. So I have a writing instructor. She's got a master's degree. She's fully certified. I have a math instructor who is fully certified. Those are both certified in both the secondary and the adult ed certification, which is the adult ed certification is pretty close in the academics to what a secondary teacher would have. I also have an IT individual that works full-time. That's Mike Bird. He has done a tremendous job. If you need any help with your computer or don't understand, I think he's met with almost every grandparent in Franklin County this past year, trying to get them on Zoom, trying to help them understand Google. It's been our community service that way. So those are full-time. I have Lisa Donald. I don't know if you know her. She's like Beat program. She's our administrative assistant and knows everybody in town, is related to half of them. And is just a great advocate for all of us. And she's amazing. We have a new hire, Lauren Beal. She replaced Christy Backus as our data and testing specialist. So she runs all our data, makes sure that our systems that are required for the state are up to date. And she does 99% of the testing of everyone. So she sees them at their best and at their worst. Those are all full-time. Then we have part-time. We have Greta Espinette up in the Mount Abram area, who works a lot. And she has a spot in the high school. She has a spot at the library. She's out in the community trying to get people who need high set to come in and get help. And then she does a great job with the community ed. And then we have Stephanie Chu O'Neill. She is up in the Rangeley area. She also works for the newspaper, and we're getting her up to speed and to offer some different stuff. Then I'm trying to think who else I have. We have Sandy Brown. She's part-time. So Greta, Stephanie, and Sandy are all part-time. Sandy is our advisor. She works diligently trying to get students everything from a scholarship to food stamps to anything to help them get on their way and figure out what's best for them. We have Jan Dodge, who has taught everybody in the school district, I found out. And she's our receptionist and media person that helps us, communication person that helps us get out the brochure. And then we have a position open at the jail, which I have been trying to fill and not doing a very good job at, because we are required to, the jail is required to provide educational services, and they contract with us. So I've been going up there. It has been a fascinating experience to be in that building and to learn so much from those inmates that are there. My preconceived conceptions of who's in jail have totally changed. Almost every single person I've worked with has had a high school diploma and had college. And they're all looking for some type of training or something to move on with their lives, and something has come up. And we looked to, that was a full-time position. It went to a part-time position, and we believe it's going to go back into next school year. We'll be partnering with Skowhegan to provide the Somerset and Franklin County Detention Centers educational services. So, and then I have all these wonderful enrichment teachers that teach, and people who do, Lorna Collins and Erica Webster are doing our CNA programs, and we're very, very excited to have them with us too.
Nancy, the last time you were there, was Dennis off of bread and water and back to regular meals? On a serious note, when we'll be looking at adult ed of the future here in this, in as part of the strategic plan, because one thing I think we need to really come to grips with is, we're very fortunate when we have people like Nancy and others who are, spread, very thin. And in the time of inflation and everything else, it's tough to say, we need to expand. But, it really depends on what you consider is the cost of a dropout. I'm just going to say, there's a lot of figures out there in the hundreds of thousands of dollars of what it costs the communities in the state when a kid drops out and doesn't keep moving. And, I think it was Lisa who asked, what are the biggest drawbacks? It's not having people available, when they're available. And part of it is job related, part of it is transportation, but part of it is we've created what I like to call the Burger King community, have it your way. I can, very many people are expecting that the educational programming that they need to receive will come to them like, well, if you don't like to go to Kohl's, go to Target. If you don't like Target, go to Walmart. If you don't like McDonald's, go to Burger King. And, and it's harder and harder, as Nancy said, with all of these family issues and needs that since the family has broken down, there aren't these automatic connections to, supporting parents and students, because you really have to support both. So it's very intricate, but we really need to look at this with greater outreach, and we're doing that partially, like Nancy mentioned. The grant, that's those federal taxes, federal dollars that the federal government passed. We'll be buying, a van, and so we can transport people. But we are getting to the point of, almost supplying 270 degrees of support, not 360, but 270 degrees of support for feeding, health, transportation, whatever, for every kid, because of the breakdown of social services, the family unit, and so forth. So it is very complicated, to say the least. And adult ed is one of those ways that we can make more connections. And I think you can make a great case. If it adds 5 graduates a year or 7, because of greater outreach. You could say that cost us, $25,000 a kid or something if we added some more resources. But the long-term negatives for people who don't get supported far outweigh the initial cost. But as you know, easier to say and harder to explain.
I was doing some research, and in Maine, the cost differential of a salary for someone who doesn't have a diploma versus someone who has a high school diploma is $8,000 a year. And that $8,000, I know I would like $8,000 more in my pocket. You can tell my boss that.
Yeah. His hearing aids turned off. You can't hear that.
I know. I asked him to double my husband's salary the other night, and he turned that off too. It is $8,000 makes a huge difference in a family. And as Christian says, many times I am counseling the parent. That's the first person who calls and says, my kid's, not doing anything, And one thing I've learned is, one, you should start early with your kids and keep doing it. But if that doesn't happen, your kids are going to tell you what they want. And we try and work with them. And sometimes we're the person who says, no, it's not going to happen that way. And this is the way it goes. But I get calls from parents that they got 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, and we only take 17-year-olds and up in our program. And, the parents are like, all right, I'll call you in 2 years. And we work well with the guidance department. We work well with other, the principals and everything at the high school to help those kids. But you also have people that have dropped out and they need to find their way back to us. And if you know any of those, we would love to have them. Oh.
And just one last thing. You look at this screen, look at your screen, and you see all the people here. What you see here is the new face of parents in schools in the last decade and a half. More and more of our parents are grandparents. So when Nancy said, working with parents, she's not just talking about the mother that gave birth or the father that we are working more. This is the face of many of the parents that we are now working with. And they are supporting their grandchildren taking over because of something, whatever may have happened. And so, I don't know about you, but if all of a sudden, if I was in an education and 27 years later or whatever, I suddenly had to start watching my grandchildren and go through the whole school system again, I'd need another bachelor's degree or something to try and figure it out. So, these are the kinds of connections that we never really had to make 2 and 3 decades ago that now we have to do.
Well, thank you very much for that, Nancy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate that. I'm going to try and share this. I'm not very good at it, but we would like to present you with this recognition of service for being our guest speaker this morning. And thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that. And thank you, Christian, for bringing Nancy into us.